Hello everyone, welcome to Tilted Planet. Today I am starting a new series on Indo-Pak relationships with respect to the Indus Water Treaty. The impetus for this series is this book that I recently read, Blood and Water, the Indus River Basin in Modern History. I was fortunate to meet the author, Dr. David Gilmartin. He also very kindly signed this book for me. So, what was the situation of irrigation before the British? As we all know, there was extensive water management in the ancient Indus Valley civilization. There are references to irrigation and canals throughout the history of India. Shah Jahan brought water from Ravi to Lahore with the Hasli Canal. Speaking of Delhi Sultanate, there have been many Muslim rulers, good, bad and worse. Neither of them ever tried to create an Islamic state, carved an Islamic state out of the Indian peninsula. Anyway, back to irrigation. For the starters, let's look at the map. Okay, so this is the map of the complete Indus River Basin, and it originates in Lake Mansarovar, a holy site for Hindus and Buddhists. It is in Tibet. Then it enters Leh-Ladakh region, which is now a union territory of India, used to be a part of Kashmir. After that, it enters the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, after which it enters the Pakistan and then is joined by the tributaries Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi and Satluj. And another river, Beas, actually joins Satluj before it meets Indus. Balochistan, which was the last frontier of India, they had three types of irrigations. Kala Pani, which was from the perennial streams, then Kurez, which were the tunnels in the mountains, and then there were small dams called bandhs. In spite of all these things, most agriculture still depended upon water from the wells that filled up during the monsoon season. Most farmers were pastoralists during the dry season. Hindus provided capital for the Baloch irrigation. Most commerce was also handled by the Hindus, and Hindus were protected by the Baloch chiefs as a part of the honor. Does it look like the Baloch wanted to live in an Islamic state? Before colonization, there were two types of invaders. Number one were looters. They came, they looted, they went back to their homeland until next time. The second were settlers. They came, they fought battles. If they won, they ruled. If they lost, they found a place in the society and settled and eventually assimilated. Colonization was a new form of invasion, a permanent presence to continually exploit the land they are on while maintaining allegiance to their home country. The British won Battle of Plassey in 1757 mainly through deceit, and Bengal fell into their pocket. From that point on, they steadily expanded their territory. They came from the Ganges plain towards Punjab and towards Balochistan, which was pretty much the last frontier. They waited until Maharaja Ranjit Singh died. Then they kidnapped the last heir of Punjab and they imprisoned his mom, the last queen of Punjab, and pocketed Punjab. The invaders need a way to legitimize their rule. So this is what the British did. They employed the soldiers of the former armies they have defeated, employed them to excavate the canals. In doing that, they brought a lot of wasteland under irrigation, then settled those soldiers on those lands. The water was free, but they were asked to cultivate the land. Even though the water was free, they taxed the crops. So in a way, they subdued the army, they added to their own revenue, and they legitimized their rule by doing so. Key points to remember about irrigation. Irrigation requires significant capital and labor on an ongoing basis. Disputes are common. Many dams in Balochistan were called as Khuni dams or the bloody dams. Engineering concerns need to be balanced with political concerns, and geography is ever changing as the rivers tend to change their courses. Over irrigation may lead to widespread water scarcity. With the ongoing work of canal excavation, there was a need for a better management. This led to a Central Public Works Department in 1850. Now remember, it is still the East India Company rule. What happens 7 years after that is the Sepoy Mutiny, 1857. 1 year after that, the British Crown took over the control of India from the East India Company, Government of India Act. Now, during the company time, they excavated canals, they handed off water management to the local tribe or the town or the city or whatever it was. Then once the Crown took over, they came up with this Northern India Canal and Drainage Act of 1873 that provided a sweeping rights to the British Crown on water management and canal development. Once they had that law, they started to lease the land to the farmers instead of giving the ownership to the farmers. As the canal works steadily progressed into Sindh and Pashtun land and into the Chenab Valley, there was a need for skilled technicians. The Royal Engineering College at Cooper's Hill in England commenced operations in 1870 with the funding from Government of India, and then College of Civil Engineering in Roorkee started in 1884. A racial hierarchy was maintained in management of the canals. I told you disputes are common. So in 1907, protests erupted supported by Indian National Congress and Arya Samaj because the farmers were resentful that they did not have the ownership of the land, prompting the Punjab government to form a committee that led to the Colonization Act of 1912, granting cultivators land ownership. Irrigation work continued, sparking disputes between Sindh and Punjab, not Hindus and Muslims, over water distribution. These disputes reflected in the provincial elections. The Unionist Party, founded by Sir Fazl Hussain and later led by Sikandar Hayat Khan, became the dominant party. They addressed property and irrigation concerns. The Unionist Party had a coalition with Akali Dal and Indian National Congress. Sikandar Hayat Khan worked for unity of India. He opposed the idea of Pakistan. He called it Jinnastan, as I have mentioned in this episode earlier. The Sikhs formed SGPC, Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee, as the apex committee over all the Gurudwara committees, and they got recognition in 1925 by the Government Act of Sikh Gurudwara Shrines Act of 1925. They organized a protest in 1930 to protest against British policies of canal management, and they managed to stop the water distribution through the canals. So now the picture emerges that even until 1925-1930, there was no demand for an Islamic nation in the part that would eventually become Pakistan. They were more concerned about irrigation, water management, canal management, and scarcity of water, which they should be. But British had their own military and strategic concerns, as they were expanding their territory from East India all the way up to Balochistan. Russia wasn't sitting idle. They were expanding their territory from all the way up north, up to the Afghanistan, with an eye on India. The British had a need to closely control the land that bordered Afghanistan and Iran to counter Russia, and the seeds of partition were thus sowed. The symbiotic relationship over canal construction between Hindus and Muslims had also ceased to exist due to the government takeover of the canal management. I will talk about partition and irrigation in the next episode. Stay tuned.